So we live a Christianity that satisfies the crowd but does not satisfy Christ. The world has told us our boundaries of evangelism, and we have believers hoarding gifts. We have believers hoarding power and hoarding doctrine in the confines of the church. So we won't go out and speak Jesus. We sing it on Sunday but won't live it on Monday. The world has scared us into limiting salvation here in these four walls only. This is for some of you who think the extent of our witness is in the four walls of the church. If you don't believe the words of Jude, maybe you'll believe the actions of the one you call Savior. Man, if we go to Matthew 9, it says, as Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, follow me. Man, why did I bring you there? Man, because in the first century AD, man, Rome would occupy Jewish territory. And so Jews were under Roman occupation, and Rome wanted taxes. And so what Rome would do in order to get the taxes from the Jews, man, Rome would contract out Jews who would be tax collectors for them. By Jewish law, a tax collector was also regarded in the same line as an adulterer and a robber, meaning they were banished from the house of God. So then for all of us who think that salvation can only happen in the four walls of the church, my question to you is, how does Matthew become a disciple without ever stepping foot into a synagogue? How does Matthew, who is a tax collector, who was banned from the house of God, how does he become a disciple if he never stepped foot into a church? I'll tell you why. Since he was banned from the house of God, the God of the house came to him. Jesus was modeling for us what contending for the faith looked like. Man, these tax collectors were living very hopeless lives. They thought that because men would bar them from the house of God, that they would never be able to experience the love and the grace of God. But Jesus Christ, in his goodness and his kindness, he would foreshadow the veil being torn, and that the presence of God would no longer just reside in a house, but we would then become the temples of God. Man, we thank God for the salvations that happen in here, but they don't only happen in here. There will be many people who will never step foot into a church to find salvation, but because we carry the presence of the God of our salvation, because we are walking temples and walking synagogues, people who would never walk into the house of God can still meet the God of the house.